Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and today in this video, I'm going to be talking about if I was Warren Buffett and I had a Berkshire Hathaway Cannabis Portfolio, how I would invest my money into this portfolio. So stay tuned. This would be a $1 to $5 million portfolio for the cannabis space. So yeah, it's going to be good, raw, uncut. I also want to disclose I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment information. Do not buy or sell based on anything I talk about in this video. Buy or sell after you did your own research, your due diligence, and you like the investments you're pursuing. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Give me thumbs up in this video. I put a lot of time into my research. So yeah, give me thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Leave a comment down below. Hit the bell for notifications so you're notified when I upload a video. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, so this is the wand. What does that guy say? That's just a little funny joke I got. Alright, so the year is 2019, okay? But this is, saying this going would be Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett have the attitude that they're going to wait 5 years or so for the investment to go right, you know? If the company stopped trading tomorrow, that's how they base their decision, and they couldn't trade it for 2 years. They believe in the business, so they believe that the business is going to be running strong for 5 years, you know? So that's how they play their game, right? That's why they're one of the most, the richest investors in the world. I mean, you have the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. He's worth a ton of money and more than Warren Buffett, but that's from his own shares from Amazon. It's not through investing. So yeah, I put high regards for Warren Buffett, and that's why I'm doing this video. The Berkshire Hathaway Cannabis Portfolio. Okay, so okay. I want to explain every share that I do, and this is from the lowest position to the highest position, okay? So if I had a $1 to $5 million portfolio and I was Berkshire Hathaway, how I would be investing into the cannabis space, knowing that I don't need the money for 3 to 5 years or longer, right? These are the companies that I think will be around 3 to 5 years from now, and they'll be a lot higher, and people will make potentially a lot of money on these companies. So my lowest ranking company out of these companies is Aurora Cannabis, which is ACB, and that would be a 2% position. And the reason for that is because they're not cash flow positive and they have debt and goodwill on the balance sheet. But I do think, as far as being a legendary company in the cannabis space and being around for 10 to 15 years or longer, or if they get acquired for a lot of money by a big company, I think Aurora has a great chance of that happening. And they've always had easy time, getting capital from banks and all that stuff. So I think them raising money. So that's why I don't want to put a higher position into this portfolio if I was Berkshire Hathaway. And then the next one would also be 2%, and that would be CBSI, CV Sciences, because they are profitable. They did about like 1.2 million last quarter, so that's close to about 5 million annually on about like 50 to 60 million in US dollars in revenue. So based on their ability to be profitable on that low amount of cash, when the company's a bigger player and say they're doing 500 million every year or a billion every year, they're going to be extremely profitable. I don't have Charles Webb on the list because I think they're overvalued, but I'll get into where that may come up where I would get Charles Webb. Okay, then then one underneath that would be TLRY, TLRY, and that would be a 3% position because okay, there's already cannabis oil that has the Sandoz name on it, which is Novartis. And Novartis is almost a $200 billion company, right? So they're a big pharmaceutical giant, and they're backing, like, they're on the team with Tilray, right? Trying to get them to be a big player. And they're EU GMP, and they're doing some pretty decent revenues in Canadian dollars. Now that they have Manitoba Harvest, that's adding another $20 million in revenue. I think this company, maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 years, they're going to be making close to $1 billion or more every year. And, it's just they have Ab and Bev working with them for CBD beverages. And, I think the company has a great shot, but they haven't been profitable yet. So I'm not having a huge position as far as the fundamentals go. But, based on their price being around $24, it's a pretty good price to get in to Tilray if you're not worried about like 4 or 5 years from now. I think the company will be strong in 4 or 5 years. And then below that, in a higher position for holdings for the Berkshire Hathaway holdings for cannabis space would be Aphria at 4%. And I there's a lot of people that think they're profitable. I disagree. I just base it on their inventory or some other accounting practices. It's not based on them running the business profitably. It's just based on them being able to sell every kilogram that they have. So that's just my opinion. And I would have a 4% position in Aphria, because the reason why I have such a higher position than Tilray and ACB is because they have a fair amount of cash and their market cap's pretty decent. It's like close to 2 billion. And they also have a EU GMP for 5 lots. And that's the same with Aurora, so they're going to be big in Europe. And then the CC Farm is really, adding a lot of revenues. So, yeah, they're locking down Europe very well with their distribution access. So, I don't know. I think that Afria's got a lot of good things up the pipe, but it may be too high of a weighting. But that's what I would do. Now, for the same weighting is that, but this company is actually profitable, is GRWG and its Grow Generation, and I put it for 4%. And the reason being is because they did about like 1.2 million in net income on 20 million, close to 20 million, 19 million last quarter. But they have a Home Depot, like big guy from Home Depot, that's like kind of working with them. And Grow Generation, they just have all the products. It's like the same as like but it's for the cannabis industry of how Home Depot runs, kind of for you know for for vegetables and flowers and having all that kind of stuff right at Home Depot. So they have all this like electronic, how to lighting kits, and I think, and all that good stuff, and soil and all this other stuff, and they make a lot of money. So that's why they want to have a guy that's like in the same kind of industry, but just like it's not cannabis. So they have a guy leading the company. So that's gonna really help them grow to be a big giant, I think. And they're not even worth that much amount of money. Like they're worth about like 120 to 130 million market cap. So I think that's a pretty good weighting of having 4%. I mean, maybe it's high and maybe others, but that's what I'm gonna go with. And I'm gonna go with True Leaf for 5%. And the reason why it's not as high as the next three is because there's some headline risk with Kim Rivers' husband, but they are the most profitable. They have the best fundamentals, even though they're just mainly in Florida. But they're going to be profitable like for a long time coming. They're working with IIPR to lease back their facilities, like buy the facilities from Trulieve. Like IIP buys them, and then Trulieve pays the rent every month. But that gives them a lot more cash flow to expand otherwhere. So it's a win-win for Trulieve and IIPR, in my opinion. But because of the headline risk, that's why I only would have 5% if I'm Warren Buffett. And if I'm Warren Buffett, maybe I'd only have like 1%, or like not even have a position because of that. So if I'm basing on the cannabis industry right now, that's what I would have, a 5%. Now, number 3 in the list would be VFF at 10%. and that's because they have very good net income and they have a low shares count, and also they're set to be a big hemp player in USA with their Texas greenhouses, as well as they have they have a deal with this like partner for hemp growing outdoors, I believe, and they're just big in BC, growing there in their greenhouses. They have like 3 million square feet in greenhouses, and they're growing out of like either 750,000 square feet or 1.5 million square feet, and they're growing a lot. I mean, I saw the report for 20 days on the online OCS for Ontario, where Canopy, they did about 80,000 grams for 20 days. So how to calculate and kill it in in the grams. So 78,000, you would divide it by 1,000 to get the kilograms. Yeah. So anyways, that's how it would go. That's pretty high, 78,000. Let's just do the math on that. Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that much actually for the online sales. It's not adding up to be a lot. But anyways, they're number two for all the online sales for the Ontario Cannabis Store, and that's for 20 days, right? So they're going to be a lot higher than that eventually. But Pure Sun Farms, that's what they're under. Why I don't have a higher list? They did about $9 million in net income last quarter, but I don't know if their flour is that good. I have had their flour, but as far as like overall all their flour being like top notch, it's not top notch, but it's decent. But I'm hearing some negative reviews on Twitter, but it's mainly from the camp who are used to having like the top quality cannabis that are like the AA plus, and they're just bitching about it not being AA plus, but it's for cheaper dollars per gram. So yeah, so that's my 10%, and then labs would be 17.5%. And the reason is because they got that deal with Andrex Pharma in Europe, and I think that's going to be huge for them, as well as they're already profitable on like 4.2 million, and they're having huge revenue growth. I could see them do 40 to 45, maybe even more for the next quarter coming up. They're probably going to do about like 300 to 500 or 600 million dollars in revenue in 2020. So they're going to soak up a lot of net income. Like, I don't know exactly, but it's going to be pretty good. So they're just very, there's not much risk basically, because they're, the way they run the business is they're getting cannabis from other companies, and then they extract it into, oils or capsules. So they have like long going, as well as they have deals with Ozcan to export their oils. They're just going to get bigger and badder, and they have no problem, I don't think, expanding into the USA, expanding to other countries. I just think they're going to be a giant in the future. So labs, what I don't like them compared to VGW is they don't have the greatest profit margins because they're not as efficient on per gram, like getting the dollars out of the the extraction. So they don't make as much money per dollar of revenue, but their revenues are better than VGW. So Valence Growworks. So that's what I do like, and they're on a higher ranking power scale in the cannabis industry than Valence is. So that helps them, and I think they're going to be on the TSX. I think, or maybe they are on the TSX, but they're going to be on the NYSE probably before Valence Growworks. So that's why I put them up higher. Okay, and then I also give 17.5% to Valence Growworks because their profit margins are top notch. They're about like 70% or 75%. profit margins, so they're able to extract a lot of profit. Basically, if they're going to do like 30 to 40 million or 50 million in a few quarters over, they're going to end up doing 10 to like 16 to 20 million in net income on those reporting revenues. So that's why I put them up so high. And Thermo Scientific Fisher Research, a big company that's like 150 to 200 billion, they have been to their facility and they say it's amazing. So that's where I put my, if there's big companies that are going to say good things about it and their profit margins on their financial statement look very solid, then that's where my big money's got to be. If I am the Berkshire Hathaway of the cannabis industry and that's my portfolio. That's how my portfolio would be. Absolutely. So there may be some tinkering with this, but where I would have a lot of cash as well is yeah, funny. It would be in cash because cash is king. 35% would be in cash. If I was Warren Buffett, 35% of my money in this portfolio would be in cash because that way I can wait till all these other companies become profitable, and then when they look like they're going to continually be profitable, then my money is going to be in them, so I can ride their growth, right? Because you know Amazon was like $1 or like $2, right? And now it's worth $2,000, right? So the ability for these companies, they may be 15 cents, they may be $5, they may be $20. For the ability for these companies in the next 5 to 15 to 20 years to grow to be 100, to be 200, 300, 400, $500. There's that ability with some of these companies in the space, because the space is going to be the biggest space for the next 5 to 15 to 20 years, right? I don't see another space being as big as this. So that's and then I can put that money to work when the industry is battered and bruised, and I see companies that are they're getting the net income. So this is 2019, but say like next summer or like a year from now, there's other companies that are all doing very good net income. Then I can start accumulating them, and I can put capital to work. I can put 5 or 10% of my capital to work, or just slowly. But then when companies start losing their profitability, then I just cut them. They're out of this portfolio because I mean there's some exceptions. I got ACB, TLRY, and Afria, but this list is pretty much filled with just profitable companies, and that's how I would base my whole portfolio on if I was the Berkshire Hathaway running a cannabis portfolio. That I wouldn't be worried about touching for the next 5 to 10 years. Anyways, this is a very exclusive video. I come up with some very creative ideas, and one of these days my channel is gonna blow up. But I'm gonna keep continuously bringing up great content for my viewers and subscribers. And thanks for watching my videos. And yeah, keep compounding your info and listen to my lingo. And shaka, capice. I'm out, and let's say goodbye to this guy. Peace.